a dear friend of mine, Joseph, who was the guitar teacher at Winter Park High School where I was going to school, he said, you know, Larry Coryell, we got in a conversation about music and how much he was so like shocked to meet me because I was talking about like John McLaughlin, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Miles Davis, and Weather Report, and then finally we started talking about Larry and how much we loved him. He's like, you know, he lives here. I actually take lessons from him, and I nearly had a, you know, I fell over backwards in my seat. And he's like, yeah, I'll give you his number. And I was like, what? And so I called him up, and lo and behold, him and his wife Tracy pick up, and it was like I couldn't believe it. You know, I was like pinching myself because I was like talking to one of my heroes. You know, Larry played with Miles Davis and has done all these amazing records with Chick Corea, and you know, at that point I had just started to listen to them and understand who these people were and their significance, and you know, and then from there he's like, well, just come over, bring your guitar, and it was magical. You know, it was just to be accepted by the two of them, and to become friends with them. And he started taking me on the road, and we played the Blue Notes together. We played all over town, and you know, it's funny, uh, he came to my very first gig. I played at a little coffee shop here, and he actually drove all the way from his house to this coffee shop and played on my very first gig, and I will never forget that because it was one of the nicest things anyone's ever done. And here's Larry Coryell, who's like one of the biggest legends of, you know, jazz, and you know, it was crazy. How did you guys meet?
He came here for a show,
Mhm.
and he just like to see a show, and then he talked to me after. He said, hey, I want to record some things, can I record some things here? And then like not that far after that, he said, hey, I want to play here with this kid, like you gotta see, like the world needs to know this kid. And he was talking about you. And then he would like show up unannounced, just to jam with my kids after school. Like he would show up in the afternoon, and that's why I got that purple Yamaha guitar with the humbuckers,
Mm.
was for Larry to have a guitar to play, because he would come here without his guitar. We just like, oh, I was in the area. Are the kids here? Let's jam. And it's pretty cool, you know. It's so nice.
He was larger than life. He One of my favorite things about him is that no matter what you were going through, it's like his enthusiasm and passion for music was contagious.
Right.
And he's the whole reason why I moved to New York, you know, because I'd always wanted to do it, and he was always just, he just encouraged everybody. It didn't matter who you were. And Tracy, his wife, was told me a story today. She said they were in Italy, and he was playing in front of. This is like, I think just shortly after they got married, and she started kind of managing him and booking gigs for him. And he was playing for like 800 people in Italy, and then and she was like, okay, I can finally relax. Everything's done. He's playing. I can relax. And then 5 minutes later, Larry says, all right, and now I'd like to introduce everyone to my beautiful, wonderful wife, Tracy. Come here, Tracy. And so he calls her on stage, and he gets the crowd involved, and she's like petrified, you know, and they get together, and they no rehearsal or anything like that. And he's like, okay, well, why don't we do that one Tracy Chapman song they do? And of course, it's, you know, they get like, you know, a standing ovation. And Larry was just that kind of guy. You know, he was just so generous, and he told me it wasn't always like that. You know, he said he's had quite a spiritual journey, and very devout. Him and Tracy, very devout Buddhist, practice. You know, they practice Buddhism, and you know, very you meditate every day, and try to, it just, they're just so inspiring, you know.
He was a great person. So
He
yeah.
really
Well,
was.
thank you for talking to me, and I can't wait to hear you play on Sunday. It will be fantastic. Teamquad.com/events.
See you soon, man.